Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Wednesday night live stream for Week 13 of the 2024 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next hour plus, we're talking all things related to fantasy football in regards to, of course, the Week 13 slate of games. Again, if you have a question regarding any of the players that play tomorrow or on Friday, that is the entire purpose of this live stream. Not only will I be live streaming for the next hour plus, but tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. PST, I will also be live here, and I'm going to simulate it very similar to what a Sunday morning live stream looks like. For those of you who are familiar, of course, a Sunday morning live stream on the channel has rankings on screen, to the right side of the screen, the top available quarterbacks, running backs, etc., all that kind of jazz, so that it can answer your questions to the best of my ability. So we'll be starting our live stream tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. PST. Now, a couple announcements I want to make prior to getting into answering these questions. Again, there are not very many of you, so we could potentially answer all these questions in a quick rate, boom, easy, and then we're out of here. Braylon Allen should probably be picked up. There's no reason that on a Wednesday after a bye week, Breece Hall shouldn't be practicing. It's not like I'm 100% concerned, but the fact that there is some sort of injury that is plaguing him to prevent him from practicing today leads me in the direction of yes. If you have if the possibility is out there to pick up Braylon Allen, probably do yourself the favor and just add him on roster. I've done it in my own home leagues. I don't really want to mess around with that. If he was available somewhere, mainly I would say that it's most likely in a 10-team format that he'd be available. In a 12, it'd be a little bit more difficult, especially with a wider spectrum of bench spots for a 12-team league. It may allow the Breece Hall manager to hold him on roster. But again, if you can do yourself that favor, pick that up. Also, again, if you guys haven't checked out the video that we posted earlier today, Week 13 wide receiver rankings, thumbnail on the bottom right, that was posted on the channel just a couple hours ago. So if you guys haven't checked out my top 43 wide receiver rankings and are curious on the matter, you can go ahead and check that out. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Charlene had come in early, and okay, the question was, pick 4 wide receivers, full PPR. Says number 5, 6, 10, 12, 21, and 28 off of your rankings. Great. I play them in the exact order in which I have it ranked. I don't know. That's not really a question, but cool. Thanks. Onage says we're starting early, fam. Yeah, it's absolutely. Yeah. I mean, look, considering I don't have to technically do all the script writing and all the navigating of the graphics for tomorrow's quarterback and tight end video, and we're immediately just live streaming tomorrow, and there's not an extra video, I don't have to do any work prior to this live stream. So, as soon as this live stream is concluded, I'm pretty much heading on over and just completing rankings and getting ready for tomorrow morning stream and try to get us off to a right start. Let's see, your handle in the chat says Tracy or Reed in the flex. I don't know what your scoring format is. Again, if you guys are going to type in a question in the chat, please do me a favor, include your scoring format, half PPR, full PPR standard, 6 point per passing touchdown, 4 point per passing touchdown. The more context, the better it is for both of us. Let's say I'm meeting everyone in the middle. Let's say it's a half PPR. I just play Tracy there. Speedy says McLaurin and Keenan Allen for Drake London. I don't mind that. As long as you have enough wide receiver depth to be giving away a 2-for-1, I don't have an issue with that at all. I'll take Drake London rest of the season. I like their schedule up ahead. Let's see here. Dylan says Jonnu, Swift, Pollard, Dowdle. Pick 2 in a full PPR. All right, so earlier today, we did get a confirmation. I understand it's still Wednesday, so it's relatively early, but Tyjae Spears has still not cleared the concussion protocol. If there's a possibility where Tyjae Spears is going to miss another consecutive game, Tony Pollard is an automatic start in this circumstance. Now, the only other issue you have here, Dylan, is that I would have suggested playing Jonnu Smith and Dowdle alongside of Pollard, but unfortunately, again, we still don't have the full spectrum of information for this upcoming weekend. So it puts you in a position to where I think it's probably in your best interest just to play Jonnu and Dowdle. If you want, you could play Dowdle in the afternoon slate if we don't get any information regarding Tyjae Spears. If by Thursday night, there's a possibility where, like prior to the Green Bay Packers taking on the Miami Dolphins tomorrow night, if there's no information regarding Tyjae Spears and perhaps he's still in the concussion protocol, at that point you could theoretically hold off on playing Jonnu on the night game and then playing Pollard there. But again, to avoid any sort of semblance of risk, it probably is like a Jonnu Dowdle play. If it's my team, I probably risk it for the biscuit and I just play, if it's my team, I just probably play both running backs. I'll just play Pollard and Dowdle. And I'll just push it to Sunday and see if Tyjae Spears misses. Thank you. All right, Ramon sends a message in the chat. He says, should I start Purdy or Darnold? And okay, I don't even know if Purdy's playing. Even if he does play, let's say, for example, this week, I'd rather play Sam Darnold, to be totally honest. And should I start Kittle or McBride? That is a very good question as well. I would probably start, as of right now, it depends on scoring format. In a half PPR standard, I'll probably be playing Kittle, assuming Purdy is active. Other than that, full PPR would be McBride. In the event in which it is going to be Kittle with a backup quarterback, I'll just play McBride across the board. Thank you. Schnabel in the chat says, full PPR start Gus Edwards or Kareem Hunt. As of right now, it's Gus Edwards for sure. Again, Pacheco is expected to play on Friday and at a great enough capacity to where it is going to absolutely negatively impact Kareem Hunt's value across the board. I would say that he's almost unstartable within the upcoming week in comparison to a Gus Edwards prospect. Javier in the chat says, shout out to my league mates. Okay, very well, Javier. Jeff Joyner says, would anyone play Tracy over Ramondre? I don't mind the idea of that. I actually honestly prefer it, especially with Drew Lock at least playing. I don't mind that overall approach. There's a possibility in which, of course, in the event in which Ramondre Stevenson falls into the end zone, he's objectively a more valuable prospect, but it's just a matter of who's more likely to, have that situation occur between the two of those running backs. Javier says, start which defense this week, Denver or Tampa Bay? I prefer Denver's defense this week. Thank you. King Shakur in the chat says, sup, Andrew? I have Tua as my starter. Can I trust him tomorrow night in Green Bay? And I have Hunt and Pacheco. How do you feel about playing both and flexing one? No, I'm not interested in flexing or playing both at all. Again, if that's your two best players, then sure, you play them. But as of right now, I feel very comfortable just outright playing Pacheco by himself and then pivoting to another option within your flex. As for playing Tua tomorrow night, I don't dislike it completely. I just don't love the idea of it considering his record within these, the cold weather games throughout his career. He's not the only one. I mean, we go back to guys like Drew Brees. Drew Brees couldn't play in cold weather games either. So there are many of great quarterbacks that have struggled in those scenarios. Playing in Green Bay, it takes a special type of quarterback. So as of right now, I don't love the idea, but it's not like he's going to be like a top, he's not going to be in the top 5 conversation of running back, but he's also not going to be in the bottom 5. He's in the middle of the pack kind of guy this week. Somebody says play Knicks or Anthony Richardson. I don't mind playing either of the two, but personally, I do prefer to play Knicks. Again, you guys know how much of a Bo Nix truther I am as of late. The guy is just incredible for fantasy purposes. I don't care if he's a great quarterback in real life. All I know is that he puts up numbers. When I watch him play, especially within this offense, they give him every potential opportunity to succeed. They give him so many chances in the red zone. They don't even consider running the ball in the red zone. They want him to rack the stats, which, again, we love to see. Sammy Munoz sent in a super chat. Thank you, Sammy. I appreciate it. Sammy says, pick 3, Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Higgins, Jefferson, London, PPR. Cool. So earlier today, in regards to the rankings videos that we put out, I'd probably just stick with what I have it as such, to where it's pretty much an Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Jefferson start of the week. Those would be the primary 3. If you wanted to pivot off of playing Amon-Ra or Justin Jefferson, I could understand it. Personally, it's against my religion to sit players of those kind of calibers because in any given week they could go for 30 points and you wouldn't be surprised. If you were in a position where you're like, yeah, I'm not interested in playing them, then that's the decision you have to make. It'd be your final decision of the week. But ultimately, they're all top 10 prospects based on where I have them ranked this week. Personally, I would be playing A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, and Jefferson though. Easy E sends in a question, says questions in the chat. Thank you, Easy E. I appreciate it. Easy, where is your question though? I don't see it. Control F, Easy. Yeah, I don't see your question in the chat, Easy. Maybe rewrite the question and type it in because perhaps you got like low-key shadow ban somehow. I don't know. Somebody said Montgomery or Tyron Tracy in the flex. Yeah, I'd much rather play Montgomery. I'd assume that he's ready to go. Again, if he doesn't play tomorrow morning, right? If he's completely inactive, then that would be the only time I would ever bench him in favor of Tyron Tracy. OJ Running says, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, OJ. I appreciate it. And to all of you. Again, I was going to get to the, happy Thanksgiving, all that kind of jazz tomorrow morning because that'll be on the day of, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. PPR drop Javonte Williams for Braylon Allen. Is that a good move? Yeah, I don't mind it. Again, Javonte Williams is not startable. We know that, right? There are very few scenarios in which you'll be able to start him. Considering he has a week 14 bye as well, we're not really interested in having him on roster. We're not going to use him in the fantasy playoffs. It's not something that we want to have on roster going forward. So yeah, that's a great move. Max B in the chat says, Kelsey or Bowers this week? Okay, so we can go one of two ways about this, but I'm pretty sure. Well, okay. So look, here's the issue. Issue number 1, Travis Kelsey and Noah Gray, excuse me. Travis Kelsey has a vulture Like, you know how like running backs, like every now and then DeAndre Swift will go down to the goal line and a Roshan comes in. You know, Kelsey has that with Noah Gray now, which is very, very lethal. So going into this week, personally, I'm going to prefer to play Bowers there. But again, they're both going to be in the top 2 anyway. So, you know, don't even sweat it. All right, let's see here. Zeke Rodriguez sends in a question. Zeke, thank you very much. There's questions in the chat. All right, let's see here, Zeke. Let's hope that you typed in your question. Zeke, anything? There it is. Zeke Rodriguez says, in a full PPR, pick 2 running backs, 2 flex, 2 wide receivers. We have Hall, Pacheco, Hunt, Cook, Edwards, Braylon Allen. We have London, we have St. Brown, we have McLaurin, and we have Worthy. Okay, so you got really solid players across the board. I think this is pretty simple in my mind. I'm going to tell you the players that I'm going to immediately start, and then we'll have the contingency option after Zeke. So at running back, going into this week, under the assumption that Hall is healthy, ready to go, Hall and Cook are your 1-2 combo. As your wide receivers, you're playing London and St. Brown, and then you are flexing, if it's between, yeah. So I'd go Hall, Cook, London, St. Brown, McLaurin. In the event in which Hall cannot play, at that point, I would put in Braylon Allen. Or if you would want to, I mean, you have 2 flex options. Okay, my bad. So it's Hall. Okay, it is easy. It's very easy. You're not playing Hunt. You're not playing Worthy. You're not playing Braylon Allen. So it's Hall, Cook, London, St. Brown, Pacheco, and McLaurin. In the event in which Hall is absent, you play Braylon Allen, and that's it. You're good to go. It's very easy. Thank you. Easy E says, happy Thanksgiving. Somebody dropped BTJ in my league. Should I pick up? Yeah, absolutely. He needs to be immediately picked up. If you have unlimited fab, just empty the whole clip. That's ridiculous. Half PPR, starting 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 1 flex. I would need to drop someone from him. My running backs are Henry, McCaffrey, Connor, Irving, Pacheco, and Irving. You mentioned Irving twice. Is that actually correct, Easy E? It says my wide receivers are London, Evans, Adams, Jamison Williams, Shakir. Also this week, if Purdy doesn't play, would I still play McCaffrey? Okay, look, you got a lot of questions here. Okay, one at a time. First and foremost, I need to figure out whether or not you actually meant to put Irving twice or you have another running back in that conversation. So clarify on that matter before we get in anywhere else. All right, we move on to a question from Nostradamus. Thank you very much. This full PPR flex, Jonnu, Taysom, Pittman, Swift. Yeah, I mean, in a full PPR, I'd find myself... It's a difficult position. It's either Taysom or Jonnu. As to which one of the two that I prefer to play, at the moment, I'd probably lean towards Jonnu Smith there. So that's the one that I prefer to play in a full PPR. Only because of that full PPR format. I think Taysom Hill getting himself 8 receptions is more of an anomaly more than anything else. Moving on to a question from Rusty Wright. Thank you, Rusty. He says in a half PPR, Taysom or Hawkinson? I'd rather play Taysom Hill there this week. I think both are fantastic plays. Both are going to be ranked in my top 6 tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when we live stream here on the channel. But yes, I would prefer to play Taysom there. And it also says flex Rico, Gus, or Reed. I'd rather play Rico Dowdle there out of all those 3 options in a half PPR format. Thank you. Moving on to Joshua Delgado, who says in a 12-team half PPR, start 1. Pacheco, Flowers, or Pollard? Pacheco, Flowers, Pollard. As of those 3, I'd prefer to play Pollard first and foremost. In the event in which Tyjae Spears is inactive, he is clear and away the best. Even in the event in which Tyjae Spears still ends up playing this week, I still think that Pollard is the preferred. Thank you. Ben Chesler sends in a question. Says, questions in the chat. Much love. I appreciate it, Ben. Where art thou question, Ben? Ben, where is your question, dude? What the heck? Let's see here. Ben. Nope, I don't see anything, Ben. If you could do me a favor, retype your question. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Justin in the chat says half PPR, Dowdle or Tracy. I'd prefer to play Rico Dowdle tomorrow. And then let's see, it says drop Devontae Smith for Keenan Allen. I'm not dropping Devontae Smith. I'd rather just leave him in my IR spot. Or, again, if you're in a situation where you have to play a wide receiver and you're like, listen, I can either wait for Devontae Smith or I pick up Keenan Allen and play him, and it's a must-win scenario, then at that point, and only in a must-win scenario am I making that kind of a drastic swap to where I'm dropping him outright for Keenan Allen because, again, he plays tomorrow morning. So if you're in that desperate situation, then sure. iShine, what's up, man? All right, let's see here. Did Easy E says, wrote Irving twice, accident. Sorry, no, you're good. I just wanted to clarify before I answered the question because if there was an extra contingency there with another running back that I could potentially axe, then I would have preferred that Easy, but I do appreciate you clarifying the circumstance. So as it currently stands, of the available options that you have on roster, your first cut and the only cut for this scenario would be Jamison Williams. Everybody else is too valuable to cut. Now, for the remainder, and again, you'd be replacing a wide receiver with a wide receiver. In this case, BTJ is more valuable in my mind. And then as for your second question was also, if Purdy doesn't play this week, do I still play Christian McCaffrey? I mean, looking at your other running backs on roster, Henry, Connor, Irving, Pacheco, I would say that in the event in which, yeah, I mean, look, I think Henry and Irving would be your 1-2. And McCaffrey probably ends up flexing at worst case scenario, but you also have receivers such as London, Evans, Adam. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I would still be willing to play Christian McCaffrey in the flex. That's not a problem. Even if Purdy's out, I'd still be willing to do so. All right, let's see here. Daniel Chavez sends in a question. Thank you very much, Daniel. I appreciate it. Okay, he says, help me with my lineup in a full PPR. Pick 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. Okay, cool. We have Bijan, Kenneth Walker, Montgomery, Bucky. Okay, cool. Between those available running backs, I am playing Bijan and Bucky. Those are my 1-2. As for your 2 wide receivers, you have Nico, you have, what does that say? Nico Collins, Evans, Harrison, and Ladd. Okay, so of those available wide receivers, I am playing Nico and Ladd McConkey. And then for your 2 flex positions, I'm going to play, wow, that's very difficult. Okay, this is the way that I go about it, Daniel Chavez. I'm playing Bijan, Bucky, Nico, Ladd, and Walker Montgomery. That's the way that I would go about it, honestly. Thank you. Jackie sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, Higgins, Bucky, or Pickens in the flex. In a full PPR scoring format, you make it very difficult, but I think at that point you have to play. Man, that's tough. Because look, the overall workload of receiving upside that Bucky Irving had last week could have very easily gone to Rachaad White. In that overall circumstance, every week it could theoretically change. I think at this point this week, I think I play Higgins there in a full PPR. Thank you. All right, let's see here. What else do we have in the chat? Michael Hart Jr. says, Ladd McConkey or JSN full PPR. I'd prefer to play Ladd McConkey there, especially against the Falcons. Again, we talked about it earlier today in regards to the video that I posted. They have the easiest matchup, and it's not even remotely close in this scenario. So I think it's a Ladd McConkey play. Let's see here. Casey in the chat says, in a full PPR, Andrew Disley or Waddle. At this point, I think Will Disley popped up on the injury report, and he didn't even practice today with a groin injury. In that circumstance, again, considering Waddle plays tomorrow and we won't know the status of Disley until probably Friday, if not Saturday, I think it's probably in your best interest to play Waddle just in case, unless you have some other pivoting option there, which you could let me know, and then we can kind of figure it out. Ebbs and Flow says, what's up, Andrew? In a PPR drop, what is it? Drop stuffing, mashed potatoes? Okay, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Again, we're not dropping either, okay? We are making sure that we're opening up bench spots in order to make sure they're on roster, okay? Thank you, Ebbs and Flows. All right, let's see here. We had Spencer send in a super chat. Thank you very much, Spencer. I appreciate it. It says, in a full PPR start 1, Waddle or DJ Moore? Okay, very good question. Between the two of them, I do prefer DJ Moore. Again, Waddle with a Tua situation in the cold weather games, it does make me a little bit, sketched out about the potential of both Dolphins receiving options, specifically Waddle and Tyreek Hill, considering both of them need a high volume of targets because, quite frankly, they're competing with Achane and Jonnu as like the primary preferred options of the offense as of late. So I just play DJ Moore there against Detroit tomorrow morning. Now, as for the next question, we had Maurice Brown. Thank you, Maurice. I appreciate it. It says, I have Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Cooper Kupp, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, Brian Thomas Jr. We have Kyron Williams, Devon Achane, and Chase Brown. Who do I start? Okay, cool. I think it's really simple, at least in my perspective. Your quarterback is Jalen Hurts. I would significantly rather play him over Jaden Daniels at this current moment. So Jalen Hurts starts at quarterback every week. As for your starting wide receivers, Cooper Kupp and Brian Thomas Jr. would be the preferred 1-2 under the assumption that we get to Sunday and Trevor Lawrence is playing. In the event in which Trevor Lawrence does not play, I would replace Brian Thomas Jr. with Terry McLaurin. Then we move on to the running back conversation in which I am playing Kyron Williams and Devon Achane, and I am flexing Chase Brown. So again, very simple. Hurts as your QB, Kupp and Thomas Jr. as your wide receivers, Kyron and Achane as your running backs, Chase Brown as your flex, the only contingency being replacing Brian Thomas Jr. with Terry McLaurin by Sunday. In the event in which Trevor Lawrence is unfortunately inactive. I'm hoping that he will be, though. Somebody said Ladd over Evans. Elaborate. Yeah, there's a whole video right here. There's a reason why we do this, right? Again, you can go check that out. Thank you. Moving on to the next question, we had John Koziar who sends in a question. Says, please analyze my team in a 12-team full PPR, 3 wide receivers, 2 running back, and 1 tight end and 1 flex. Okay, very well. Quarterback is Daniels. Running backs are Bijan, Achane, Connor, Bigsby. Wide receivers are Adams, Higgins, McConkey, Shakir, and Downs. Okay, you got a lot of studs, and your tight ends are Andrews and Gray. Okay, cool. So look, as it currently stands, the way that I would like to approach this, considering, again, Daniels is your auto start quarterback. You have no issue there. Just obviously, I'm going to preemptively warn you, please go pick up another quarterback right now for next week in order to prepare for the upcoming bye week by apocalypse. But then outside of that, in terms of running back starts, Bijan and Achane are your 1-2. It's not even close there. As for the 3 wide receivers that I'd prefer to play out of the available here, Higgins is number 1, McConkey is 2. Is this a full PPR? Shakir is number 3. Then we move on to your question regarding your tight ends. I'm playing Mark Andrews there, and that's pretty much it. And then if we need a flexible option of the available, I probably in a full PPR throw Devontae Adams into the mix there. John, thank you. I appreciate it. Moving on to Big B, who says full PPR leagues, Otten, Disley, or Kmet. I'm playing Otten this week very comfortably. Again, he's got an incredible matchup. They do take on the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are the easiest matchup at the tight end position. They're allowing over 20 fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends on a per week basis since week 6. So for sure playing Cade Otton within the matchup. Now, as for your next question, it says Judy or Dell. Lastly, okay, so Judy or Dell, I think it's very simple. If Cedric Tillman is not active by Monday because of the concussion protocol, expect Patrick Surtain to be covering Judy the entire game. And in that case, I'd prefer to play Dell. Considering it's a Monday game, we won't have the full status of Cedric Tillman probably until Saturday. So if we don't even have it by then, I think you just have to play Dell on Sunday and not have to risk it. As for your last question, it says Swift, Tracy, or Judy. Yeah, I'm playing Tracy there because, again, I'm not 100% certain as to the overall status of Judy, considering the matchup and Cedric Tillman's current injury status. Thank you. Chris Moraga sends in a question. Thank you, Chris. Okay, we have a huge week here. We have a half PPR. We're picking 2 wide receivers and 2 flex out of the available. We have JSN, Adams, Jaden Reed, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen, Laporta, Warren, and Jeremy McNichols. Earlier today, Brian Robinson Jr. practiced at a limited basis. So Jeremy McNichols probably not as valuable as a piece as we would have originally thought. So probably going to lean away from him until we get more of a clearer status regarding the backfield. As to how I'm going about this though, Chris Moraga, I'd prefer to play the following players. If it's my team, I'm going JSN, I'm going Adams, I'm going Ridley. Do I want to play? Let's see here. Let me go open up my rankings. I was working on them earlier before this, the live stream. Just don't have anything established at a full 100%. Like I'm going this way without a doubt. But in regards to wide receiver, yeah, we'll probably just take. Yeah. So this is the way we'll go about it, Chris. With your 2 wide receivers and 2 flex, I'm just playing all receivers: JSN, Adams, Ridley, and Keenan Allen. Thank you. Nostradamus sends in a question. Says Tampa Bay or Kansas City. As for this week, let me see where I have them ranked as it currently stands. Kansas City sits there. They're back-to-back as it currently stands. If I had to pick one of the 2, I probably prefer to play Kansas City this week because, again, they play the Raiders. The Raiders don't really have a running game. If they're going to force Aiden O'Connell to throw the ball 40 times, I'd imagine that there's going to be at least a couple mistakes here and there. So I'd lean towards Kansas City in this circumstance. And then as for your next question, BTJ or Dell, I prefer to play BTJ. Even if Trevor Lawrence is not active, I'd still play BTJ with Mac Jones over Dell. And then your final question, Swift, Tracy, Stevenson, pick 2. I'm playing Tracy and Stevenson. Thank you. Jizzy sends in a question, says in a full PPR, bench 1. Okay, sounds good. What do we have here? He says Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, why do you have to do this to me, huh? Why do you subject me to this? I don't even want to answer the question because it's tough. But if I had to legitimately answer it tomorrow, I'd play Amon-Ra and Bucky Irving, and I'd bench Kyron. It's horrible, but in a full PPR, Kyron doesn't get receiving upside. Bucky gets exposed to it. If I'm not mistaken, Bucky has caught like 18 of the last 18 targets he has had. It's at a ridiculous number. Like the guy's a machine as of late. He has a great matchup. So does Kyron, but at least the receiving upside is what keeps him a little bit more enticing. And, a wide receiver the caliber of Amon-Ra, there's no way I'm not starting him in a full PPR. So yeah, Kyron probably has to sit, on the bench, unfortunately, in this case. Hate the question, but I understand it. Let's see here. OJ Running sends in a question. Says PPR rank in order for rest of season. Braylon Allen, Jonathan Brooks, Tank Bigsby. Yeah, Bigsby would be number 1 because he's going to be the full and away probably starting, early down back for the offense. Braylon Allen would be 2 and Jonathan Brooks would be number 3. Thank you. All right, let's see here. What do we have? We move. Okay, HBK says Kamara or Bucky Irving in a half PPR. I'd rather play Bucky. Personally, Will says in a full PPR, need 2 to play BTJ, JSN, Sutton, Jennings. So luckily for you, you don't have to decide any of these things until Sunday. So let's wait and let's figure out the status of what's his name? Brock Purdy. But as of right now, I think it's pretty simple. You just have to play BTJ and Sutton. Those are your two best players in the circumstance. If at any point you wanted to potentially play Jennings, if Purdy was active, I could understand it. But oh no, you don't even have Bijan. Sorry, it's BTJ, JSN. Okay, got it. So yeah, you have to wait until Purdy's status. If Purdy's active, you play Jennings and Sutton. And if he's not active, then you play BTJ and Sutton. Only if it is Trevor Lawrence with BTJ. And if it's not Trevor Lawrence with BTJ, then you are playing JSN and Sutton. Will, there's a quadra contingency situation you have here. Thank you. iShine101 says, yo, Drew. Okay, dude. It says full PPR, 10-team full P. Okay, let's see here. We have two flexes. Najee Harris, Nick Westbrook-Ikine, Deebo Samuel, Gus Edwards, Tank Dell. Thanks. Okay. The full PPR scoring format makes it a little bit difficult here because Nick Westbrook is 100% touchdown dependent, but in comparison to the rest of the field, like he's only going to get himself 2 or 3 catches at most to where he is pretty much just like a 10-point player, 10 to 12-point player within a given week, unless he makes like a huge play down the field, which again, I wouldn't put him up to it as of this week. So of the available, I think I'm probably in a full PPR. I don't like the idea of it. Yeah, I probably played Najee Harris and Gus Edwards. That's probably the way that I go, iShine. Thank you. I don't love it because neither of the two get themselves a lot of receiving utilization, but in terms of yardage, touchdowns, I think those are the two to prefer. AP says, happy Thanksgiving. Questions in the chat. All right, AP, I see it. Thank you. Says in a full PPR, I have Hall in my flex. Also have Adams, Taysom, Neighbors, Tracy. Do I risk keeping Breece Hall till Sunday morning or missing out on Neighbors plus Tyron Tracy Jr. to start Adams or Taysom? Yeah, you risk it. Absolutely. Yep. That's fine by me. I have no issue with that risk. I think the risk versus... Okay, here's the thing too. Like tomorrow, we won't... Okay, so tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, the afternoon game, let's see, week 13 NFL. Yeah, the Giants don't play until 1:30 p.m. PST. If we don't have a practice report from, like, let's say, for example, by 1 p.m. PST tomorrow, we get a practice report from the Jets organization. They say that Breece Hall didn't practice again. At that point, I would just throw in Neighbors and just send it. But again, if we do get like a limited participation or even a full, then you'd wait it out. If we get no information, I'm still willing to wait it out. But again, that's just because I do expect him to play. Thank you. Romeo sends in a question, says, in a half PPR, 1 wide receiver and 1 flex, we have Neighbors, Adams, Tracy, Edwards, and Braylon Allen if Breece Hall doesn't play. So yeah, look, at this point, Neighbors has to play. And in a half PPR, I would... Look, here's your issue. That's okay. You know what? That's fine. Just play Neighbors, and then we'll either play Adams or Braylon, depending on the situation by the time we get to Sunday. That's fine. So Neighbors and then Adams or Braylon. Thank you. Justin sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, Kittle, Taysom Hill, or Otten at tight end. Depends on if Purdy is active. If Purdy's active, it's obviously going to be Kittle. If it's not, it'll be a little bit tricky. I haven't figured out how I want to potentially kind of adjust the overall potential of Kittle within my projection model to where I want to adjust them below or above these players. So at the moment, I'll probably say in the event in which in the event in which Purdy is inactive, I would then just play Taysom Hill. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We scroll down. Roy Powell sends in a question, says, bench 1, JT, Reek, or Higgins? Yeah, I'm not benching Higgins, and I don't think I can bench JT against the Patriots. Do I bench Reek here? Yeah, I probably bench Tyreek Hill. So I'd play Jonathan Taylor and T. Higgins in this circumstance. Thank you. Nom Nom says, happy Thanksgiving. Questions in the chat. Thank you very much, Nom Nom. Let me see if I can find it. Says, traded Christian McCaffrey for Collins at the trade deadline. Is my team better or worse? We have Nix, Mixon, Achane, Braylon, Gus Edwards, T-Mac. We have Evans, London, Mooney, Ikine, Vele, Otten, Carr. Yeah, I mean, look, I have no issue with the trade at all. I mean, based on what Christian McCaffrey's looked like as of late, specifically on the ground, the injuries that the team has had, I think it's probably going to pan out in your favor rest of season in regards to Collins and his upside. So I think you got a really strong team. Obviously, you're capable of making a trade of this caliber because you have Mixon and Achane. So really, you were at it, you're at a position to where you could make a trade of this caliber, and I think it's perfectly fine. I think it's worth it, especially considering what we've seen out of Christian McCaffrey as of late. Moving on to a question from Good Luck. Thank you very much. There's questions in the chat, Andrew. Okay, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Good luck. Let me see if I can find it. Good luck. Says Andrew, in a full PPR standard roster, set my lineup. We have Burrow, Goff, Nicks. Okay, Burrow starts. Amon-Ra, Mooney, Waddle, Gibbs. Okay, so between those wide receivers, the two that I'm playing are Amon-Ra and Mooney. And then you have Gibbs, Tracy, Chase Brown, ETN. Okay, I'm going to play Gibbs and Chase Brown. You have TJ Hawkinson and Taysom. I will take Taysom Hill there as my starting tight end. And then Lions or Broncos. I will take the Broncos. Thank you. Appreciate it. Moving on to a question from Chris Moraga, who says, half PPR, Laporta or Njoku? I'd rather play Njoku this week. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We've caught up with that. Again, I do appreciate y'all coming through. For those of you who are joining us this wonderful Wednesday night, again, do not forget that in about 12 hours from now at 7 a.m. PST, I will be live here on the channel tomorrow morning answering questions like it is a Sunday morning because of the three slates, the three games on Thursday. So I will be here tomorrow morning if you guys would like to join. I'll be live streaming here answering questions with rankings on screen in order to help you guys out to the best of my ability. But outside of that, again, we're going to continue live streaming here and keep it rolling. Ethan says, I sold Taylor for Pollard straight up. I need a win these next 2 weeks. Was that the right move? Time will tell. I mean, at this point, me telling you whether it was the right move is irrelevant, right? There's no like rewind button on the situation. We're just gonna have to hope for the best. And in your case, let's just hope that Tyjae Spears doesn't play this week so that Pollard can have even more potential for upside in this circumstance and help you out. Let's see here. Mauricio says, in a full PPR, start two Evans, T. Higgins, Bucky Irving. Yeah, at this point, I'll play Bucky and T. Higgins there very comfortably. Let's see here. Thank you very much, D-Rock. I appreciate it. Mr. 5000 says, good evening, Andrew. I hope all is well. It is. Thank you very much. We're almost here at Thanksgiving. Again, not only does Thursday typically have like okay football games, pretty exciting ones, fun ones, but we have 3 tomorrow and 1 on Friday. So 4 games in the next 2 days is going to definitely, keep me happy. We'll see how it goes, though. Hopefully the fantasy upside is there and we don't have any bummer games, especially on Thanksgiving night. But let's see your question here. It says, pick 2 for the flex. We have Darnell Mooney, Garrett Wilson, Devon Vele, and Cade Otton. Yeah, I'd probably, if it's my team, I'm just playing Mooney. Well, actually, look, here's the thing. Mooney and Otton will be determined because Mooney has a potential in which he could be inactive this week. Let's say he is active. I'd play Mooney and Garrett Wilson. If he's inactive, then you play Wilson with Otton. Thank you. We move on to a question from Joe Wilson. Thank you, Joe. Says, I'm in an 8-man league, half PPR, 1 flex. I made the playoffs. Need a wide receiver to help. Okay. Currently got Debo, but other options are Reed, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Jacoby Myers, Downs, Judy Tillman. As of right now for this week, I would suggest your wide receiver to be DJ Moore over Debo Samuel. Yeah, that's the way that I'd go about it. Thank you. Again, video was posted earlier today. Top 43 wide receiver rankings for a half PPR. This should help you in your specific scenario there, Joe. Thank you. Amar Gomez sends in a question. Says, would you drop Cade Otton for Gus Edwards? It depends. Who's your other tight end? Who's going to be your starting tight end for the remainder of the season? If you have somebody like Bowers, Kelsey, Jonnu Smith, something of, a very solidified tight end that is going to have value rest of the way, then absolutely, yeah, let's make the swap. Because again, if it's going to give you depth at running back that you need or will require next week because of the bipocalypse, I think it's the right decision to make. Somebody asked Laporta or Schoonmaker in a half PPR. I probably end up, if it's me, I'm going to probably play Schoonmaker there. That's the way that I'd go about it. Laporta, again, just doesn't see enough favor within the offense. Also, what does it say? It says, and which kicker would you pick from the waivers? My options are the Saints or the Rams kicker. Rams kickers miss the field goal every week for the entire season, so let's just play the Saints kicker at that point. It's an indoor stadium, so it should be fine. Tua or Stafford? I'd rather play Stafford this week. Jeff Joyner, I don't even know what that is. It says full PPR defense rest of season. I don't even understand the question. Are you asking me to suggest a singular defense rest of season? Pick up Arizona. If that's what you're asking, I don't know. John Zavala says, hi, Andrew. Which running back should I start in a PPR? Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Gus Edwards, Javonte Williams. Pacheco, thank you. Brandon Taylor says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, not sure who to start. I have Nix, Kamara, Hall, Montgomery, Hubbard, Tracy, Evans, Higgins, JSN, Jennings, Neighbors, Taysom Hill, Laporta, Ingram. Who do I start? I mean, brother, I think it's very simple. Nix is your starting your starting quarterback. And then your running backs and your wide receivers pretty much go as such for what I have it ranked on the videos that I put out, right? So very easily going to play Montgomery alongside a Hall there. Very easily going to play Higgins alongside of Neighbors at wide receiver. I'm going to play, I know there's no tight end video out, but again, those rankings will be up tomorrow morning when we live stream. Taysom Hill's going to play at tight end, and within your flex position, I'm playing Kamara. I think it's very simple. Very simple. You play your studs. Jesse G sends in a question. Says, need tight end. Austin Hooper or Schultz? I prefer to play Schultz this week. Plays against Jacksonville, the third best matchup at the position. Thank you. And happy birthday. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate the birthday wishes. Blue Jay sends in a question. Says, hey, Andrew, sorry. Should I trade Anthony Richardson for Charbonnet? I have Kenneth Walker and Jalen Hurts. Yeah, sure. Why not? I think that's perfectly fine. I have no issue with that at all. You're starting Jalen Hurts blindly for the remainder of the season. So, yeah, I'm worth it. Yeah, I think it's worth it. Worthy or Thielen in a full PPR? I'd probably rather play Worthy as of right now. Thank you. Lee Flores says, Taysom, Hill, Tracy, Otten, or Warren in the flex this week. Depends on scoring format purely. I think I'm crazy enough to start Taysom Hill. I think I am. I think I will, actually. Donald says, pick 2, Neighbors, Metcalf, Tyreek, Hill, or Nick Chubb, James Conner, or Stevenson. Pick 2 what? For each? If I'm picking 2 of each, I'm playing Neighbors and Tyreek Hill. And then at running back, I'm playing James Conner and Stevenson. If that's what you're asking, Donald. Romeo sends in a question. Thank you, Romeo. I appreciate it. It says, in a half PPR, okay, start 1. Devontae Adams or Tyrone Tracy. Got it. As of right now, I mean, I think it just depends, right, on the alternative options. So, like, earlier today, well, yeah, I think that's just very dependent. The way that I'd go about it, in a half PPR, I'm playing Tyrone Tracy. Now, earlier today, somebody had asked me and had the same question, but they also had the potential of playing Braylon Allen on Sunday, which makes me a little bit more intrigued on the idea. That's why I kind of went the alternative, because you could play Adams or Braylon Allen and have that pivoting option. It's relatively close, but yeah, I mean, straight up, I'd rather play Tracy as of this week. All right, Bo Nix or Kyler Murray? I'd rather play Bo Nix this week. Jennifer sends in a question. Thank you, Jennifer. It says, PPR rank Tracy, Tillman, Nick Westbrook, Ikine, Braylon, if no Brees. Okay, Braylon, if no Brees, would be number 1. Number 2 would be Tracy. Number 3 would be Nick Westbrook, Ikine. Number 4 would be Tillman. That's the way that you have to go about it. So Braylon, Tracy, Nick Westbrook, Tillman. In the event in which, of course, Hall is active, you know the rest. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Andrew, any underdog picks for tomorrow? Yeah, we can go over a couple right now. Again, I haven't really looked at the numbers, but I know off the top of my head a lot of the plays that I like, specifically because they happen more often than not. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and screen capture travel to the underdog area. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a pick that I had last week, and I'll continue to suggest it every week. Jake Bates. PATs made. Oh man, it's at 3.5. Never mind. Everybody disregard it. Never mind. Last week it was at 2.5, and that was a clean one. 3.5, a little bit sketchier. Okay, but Jahmyr Gibbs. Let's go find Gibbs. So Jahmyr Gibbs, if you just want automatic plays, and that's all I'm going to suggest here, because otherwise I'd have to go digging into a lot of the overall stats. Thus far this season, 10 out of the last 10 games, he's surpassed this number. 10 of the last 10 games, he's surpassed this number. That seems like just kind of clearing away something that I'd like to take advantage of when I'm given the opportunity to do so. So that's the first suggestion. In regards to other specific players that I like this week, I mean, honestly, like the potential of any of, where's DJ Moore? Like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. I like any of them for reception counts. It depends. Let's see here. 0.67 is so tough, though. I get it, though. I get it. I would say if anybody, I just probably take DJ Moore here, and I'll just take like an automatic 3.5 receptions. He's had 7 catches, 7 targets each of the last 2 weeks consecutively. So these are 2 pretty solid ones. If I was to make, let's see here, is there anything here that's crazy? What is Rico's number in terms of rushing yards? If I could, 49.5. I'd have to look at that. But this right now, for tomorrow morning's game, I think is the best, sure in a way. I think if I threw like a anytime rushing touchdown for Montgomery, I wouldn't mind it. What did my multi go to if I do? It goes to like 2.32x. I don't mind that. Personally, I just don't know the status of his shoulder. I mean, honestly, I'd probably just take this because I expect him to play. Do I have anything else? That's probably what I will go for. 10 for 23. I think that's pretty simple. All right, let's head on back and we'll keep it moving. Thank you. All right, so in regards to the next question on tap here, we had Rockout who says pick one. Lad McConkey, JMO, Stevenson, Warren, Dowdle, PPR. Lad McConkey, by far and away, not even close. Thank you. Moving on to Savage Era. Thank you, Savage. I appreciate it. It says gobble gobble. In a full PPR, start/sit. 1 quarterback, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 tight end, 1 flex. We have and 1 kicker. Got it. So we have Josh Allen. That's your automatic starting quarterback. Very well. You're benching Herbert this week. Then you have McLaurin, you have McConkey, Ridley, Metcalf, Debo. Okay, so between those available receiving options, my 2 preferred are Metcalf and McConkey at wide receiver, Savage Era. As for running back, Bijan Robinson and Montgomery are my 2 preferred running backs. As for your singular flex this week, I'd go about, if it's my team in a full PPR, I'm playing McLaurin there in the flex. And then you have, what do you have? Otten, Laporta. I play Otten there. Tucker or McLaughlin. I'd rather play Tucker there. So again, from top to bottom, Josh Allen, McConkey, Metcalf, Bijan, Montgomery, Otten, McLaurin, and Tucker. Thank you. Moving on to a question from Ben Chesler. It says, resent the question. All right, Ben, thank you. I appreciate that. I totally forgot that you were sending anything. It says, resending my question again. In a half PPR, I have Mahomes, Hunt, Javonte, CD, London, Kelsey, Komet, BTJ Dell. Do I trade Kelsey, Tank, and Javonte for Bucky and DJ Moore? Keep in mind, I'm a delusional Bears fan. I see. So you're telling me that you'd be comfortable starting Komet every game rest of the season? Is that what you're objectively saying? If, again, when you say you're a delusional Bears fan, it doesn't make me confident that you're making... it almost makes me feel like you are overcompensating the value of Komet after 1 game only. So at the moment, I would say, am I willing to... Let's see, are your running backs or Hunt, Javonte... Oh, I see. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, look, at this point, if I was in your position, I'm not even joking, I take the deal. I don't even care what you don't have running backs. That is your issue. And by making this trade, you are addressing running back. The only problem is you're trading away Javonte, and you'd have to start Hunt every week, which does not work. So quite frankly, either which way you go about it, you are at a deficit at running back to where you should be picking up players like Gus Edwards if still available, Ben. But yeah, I take the deal. I don't have an issue with that. But you absolutely need to address running back, which is the most important position for your team going forward. Thank you. Moving on to a question that comes in from Savage Era. Says, playing my bro this week. Been bragging need the bragging rights. Happy Thanksgiving. Yep, absolutely. Appreciate it. And happy birthday. I appreciate that, Savage. Thank you. Someone says Patrick Mahomes or Jordan Love. I'd rather play Patrick Mahomes this week. Thank you. Grant says, do you answer dynasty questions? If so, Achane or CeeDee Lamb in a PPR? I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb, objectively. Again, the thing about Achane is that, yes, he's a great running back right now, but the longevity of the wide receiver position in comparison to the running back position is so... the differential between the two is so significant that I'd rather just have the wide receiver rest of the way in this circumstance, especially considering, CD is an established top-tier option. But yeah, I prefer CeeDee Lamb going forward. Thank you. Rockout says Washington defense, Detroit defense, or Seattle. As of this week, it'd be Washington first, Detroit second, Seattle third in that exact order. Thank you. MF Caveman says, happy Thanksgiving. Questions in the chat. Thank you. I appreciate it, MF. Says, in a PPR, 2 quarterback league, 6 point per passing touchdown, I traded Murray/James Cook for Puka. My team is Burrow, Tua, Kenneth Walker. No, Kai. Who the heck is KW3? Isn't Kenneth Walker number 9? Oh, the third, as in the 3. Okay, yeah. Okay. Got it. Never mind. Because usually when people send in a question regarding Kenneth Walker, they just put K9. But now that you put KW3, it made me confused. I'm like, because usually, anyway, doesn't matter. That's my fault. You have Kenneth Walker, Connor, Chase, Jennings, Dell, Otten, Hill. How about did I lose? Look, in a 6 point per passing touchdown league, you just got fleeced. You got absolutely fleeced. It's not even remotely close. In my kind of league, I predominantly play in Superflex 2 quarterback leagues. That is my priority league. I would have vetoed this trade. I'd have said this is collusion. Like, you don't trade a starting quarterback like Murray and a starting running back like James Cook just for one player in return like Puka. It's not even remotely close in terms of value. So let's just hope for the best in this case. Ben says new OC Komet will be fed. Listen, you can't say that you're a delusional Bears fan and then make statements about the Bears. Like, you're just you have too much self-interest regarding the situation. You don't have you don't have like a non-biased opinion on the matter. Let's see here. Dirk Doug sends in a question. Says Jaden Reed or Tyrone Tracy flex full PPR. Honestly, I think it's just safer to play Tracy at that point. Gary sends in a question. Says full PPR, Jacoby Myers, Tyrone Tracy, or Dowdle. In a full PPR, it's probably... I think Jacoby Myers is very valuable. I think I'd legitimately just play Jacoby Myers there. Yeah. Jacoby's probably the guy that I roll with. Criminal Minds 06 sends in a question. Says start one quarterback. Sorry, start one tight end, 2 flex. Apologies. Says half PPR, Jonnu, Ingram, Westbrook, Gus, Warren, Worthy. Got it. So this is the way I go about it. Your tight end is Jonnu tomorrow. Then everybody else doesn't play until either Friday or Sunday. Therefore, you would wait until we know the status of Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence is active, you're playing Ingram as one of your flex options alongside of Gus Edwards. In the event in which it is not Trevor Lawrence, you would play Gus Edwards alongside of Jalen Warren. Thank you. Grant sends in a question. Says in a dynasty, Achane plus JSN or CeeDee Lamb plus Montgomery. Okay, that makes it a way different in terms of the long-term effect of Montgomery. Montgomery's how many seasons in? Let's see. How old is Montgomery? David Montgomery. I need to type out his full name because it won't find it. He's 27. He'll be 28 next year. Look, in terms of age as a whole, if you're trying to play... I think because... if you're trying to win now, it's the CD Montgomery side. Otherwise, for the purposes of the future, at that point, I'd be willing to go on to the Achane side of that deal because of JSN. Thank you, Grant. Rockout says Knicks over Tua and Purdy. Yes, absolutely. Even if Purdy plays, I'd play Knicks there. Thank you. Moving on to We Buy Homes, who says in a non-PPR, start one running back, one wide receiver, and a defense. We have running backs Kareem Hunt, Rashad White, or was that Tony Pollard? Cool. So Tony Pollard is your RB there. As for your next question, it says wide receiver Smitty, London, Keenan Allen, or Myers. Out of those available, I'm playing London at wide receiver. And then I would play... Yeah, so this is the way that I'm going about it. So RB, again, is going to be Pollard, wide receivers London. And then within your defense, between the Bucks, Cowboys, and Bills, I would prefer to play the Cowboys tomorrow morning. Thank you. Auntie Slayer says, no weekly rankings in Patreon. Happy birthday. Weekly Patreon rankings come out every Thursday. It's not Thursday yet. So expect the weekly Patreon rankings like they do every Thursday to come out on Thursday. Thank you. Let's see here. Kelvin Jackson Jr. says, Kyle Pitts or Noah. Yeah, I would have to play Kyle Pitts there. Noah Gray's a little too sketchy in my opinion at that point. Connor or Jaden Reed. I'd rather play Jaden Reed in a PPR. Enemies Within sends in a question. Says Tracy or Jennings in the flex. You have to play Tracy because you don't know if Brock Purdy's going to play. If by tomorrow afternoon we get any sort of semblance of confidence that Purdy is going to play, then you play Jennings because, again, he would be a significantly better option because of the full PPR format. Terry in the chat says, full PPR pick 2, Bucky, Walker, or James Cook or Sutton. Between those available options, I'm playing Bucky and I'm playing Bucky and Sutton there, Terry. Rocket Jump says, should I start Terry McLaurin or Jamison Williams this week? Yeah, I'd much rather play Terry McLaurin. Thank you very much. Says, seeing as they play on Thanksgiving. I mean, Terry McLaurin doesn't play tomorrow, so Jamison does tomorrow morning, but I'd still prefer to play Terry McLaurin in that circumstance. Thank you. Stuart says, hi, Andrew, questions in the chat. All right, Stuart, let's see if I can find your question. Stuart says, greetings and salutations, Andrew. In a full PPR, start 7 between Nix, Herbert, Achane, Brees, Chase Brown, Ladd McConkey, T. Higgins, Kupp, Evans, Hawkinson, Ingram. Cool. Of those available, Herbert is your quarterback. Achane and Chase Brown are your running backs. Kupp and T. Higgins are your wide receivers. Wow, you have a really stacked team. Jeez Louise. Okay. So yeah, that's how we're gonna go about it. Herbert, Achane, Chase Brown, Kupp, T. Higgins, Hawkinson at tight end. And for your flex, if in fact Breece Hall is active this week, he will start. Otherwise, you pivot to playing Ladd McConkey. Thank you. Scrolling down, we had a question that came in from Joshua Montgomery, who says, I'm 10-2. Okay, 10-2, pretty solid record there. One more win to lock up the number 1 seed in a super flex. Need to flex one, Tracy or Taysom. Tracy makes me nervous. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're playing in a full PPR, I think I'm okay rolling with Taysom Hill there. I don't have an issue with that at all. Especially if he gets himself a pretty healthy volume of targets, we'll be fine. The Rams aren't very great. I mean, they're not very good at stopping opposing tight ends over the course of the season, at least. So should be pretty solid there. Gus Edwards, Jalen Moore, and DeAndre Hopkins in the flex half PPR. I'd probably go with Gus Edwards there, Dexter. Louis says Hunter Henry, Taysom Hill was at Jacoby Myers, Reed, Debo, Mooney, Keenan Allen. Pick one tight end and 2 flex. I mean, at this point, Taysom Hill has to play as your tight end. And then Jacoby Myers and probably... It's probably like a Jacoby Myers. Do I play Keenan Allen there? Or do I? Yeah, Jacoby Myers, Keenan Allen probably are end up being your flexibles there. Wade says Anthony Richardson or Kyler Murray this week. I have no clue. I could not even tell you at the moment. I'll know that by tomorrow morning though. I still have to go do more research regarding quarterback because typically, like we do on a normal weekly basis, right? Going into Thursday, I have to go and do all the research regarding tight ends and quarterbacks. Tomorrow, even though I would like to have the luxury of having the entire morning to figure out what I'm doing with quarterback tight end with all tonight's research, unfortunately, our timeline has been pushed to starting at 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. So don't know your answer at the moment, but I will figure it out and I will have it ready to go by tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on screen. Josh sends in a question, says, I have wide receivers Flowers, Higgins, London, Neighbors, Sutton. Okay, cool. Pretty good, solid options there. A lot of the top 15 options to be, specific. Your running backs are Barkley, Breece, Pacheco, Bucky. Give me some starters in a 2 flex, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver league. Okay. So if I'm starting 2 of each, your running backs are Barkley, and at this point, it depends, right? If Breece Hall is active, you will play Barkley and Breece in the event in which he is healthy, okay? Then you at wide receiver are going to play Sutton alongside of Higgins, and then you're going to flex London and Bucky. In the event in which Breece Hall doesn't play this weekend, you'd have to figure that out before this. You'd have to figure that out. Well, actually, you know what? You have Neighbors too. Jeez Louise. Okay, hold up. Oh, man, you make this difficult because you have so many studs. Higgins and Sutton are my 2 wide receivers. That is clear and away. Barkley and Breece are my 2. Yeah, so basically it's like London, Neighbors. I mean, I guess you could theoretically throw them both into the mix, but then you have Bucky as well, which I'd rather play Bucky and London. Yeah, I'd rather play Bucky, London, Higgins, Sutton, Barkley, Breece. In the event in which Breece is not active, you'd just pivot to playing Neighbors. No, you can't play Neighbors there. So you'd pivot to playing Pacheco on Friday if there's no practice report that gives us any confidence regarding Breece on the weekend. Thank you. We Buy Home says, best kicker for this week, Aubrey, Bass, or Elliott. Considering I expect the Cowboys to win, I'd probably say Aubrey. Juan Kenobi sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, I need to pick Pacheco from the wire, okay, because he's on IR. Very well. Should I drop Anthony Richardson, Debo, or Hunt? You drop Hunt there. If you're going to play or take Pacheco off of the IR, dropping Hunt is probably the best way to go about it. A lot of people have asked me about whether I should be if they should be starting Hunt this weekend. I don't see any scenario in which I'm starting Hunt ever this weekend, now that Pacheco is back. So, yeah, Hunt is gone. Thank you. What's up, Joshua? Eddie says, should Chuba be good for rest of the season? Yeah, he should be fine. Again, I don't love his schedule, but he should be fine either way. Let's see here. Landon says, pick 2 wide receivers. We have Pittman, Vele, BTJ, Tillman. Pittman and BTJ are my 2 there. Running backs, Chase Brown, Stevenson, Pacheco, Bigsby, Warren. Chase Brown and Pacheco are the 1-2 there. Thank you. JJC sends in a question, says, starting lineup. Okay. Questions in the chat. All right, cool. Sounds good. Let's see here. JJC says, quarterback, Josh Allen or Baker? I'd rather have Josh Allen. Wide receivers, JSN, Mooney, Pittman, Tillman. I'd rather have JSN and Mooney as my starting wide receivers. Let's see here. We have But if you're only picking a wide receiver 2 out of the 4, it's JSN. And then we have RB1 and 2. We have Montgomery, Connor, Pacheco, Swift. I'll take Montgomery number 1 and no, I'd probably go Montgomery, Connor there. So yeah, Allen, JSN, Montgomery, Connor. That's the way that I go about it. If I'm playing a flex, it's Pacheco. Thank you. Lou says start Jonnu or Kincaid. It's Jonnu by a pretty far margin there. Thank you. We starting Tyreek Hill depends on what your alternative options are. In some circumstances, no. Let's see here. Randy says, looking for a half PPR flex recommendation. James Cook, Chuba Hubbard, Drake London, Tyreek Hill. Between those available options, I'm playing Drake London. In the event in which Brock Purdy's inactive, at that point, I would play James Cook. Thank you. Mean the Bush sends in a question, says Jalen Warren, Adunze, or Taysom Hill. At that point, I'm playing Taysom Hill. Thank you. Maddie says, pick 2 running backs, full PPR, Cook, Bucky, Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey. If I'm not mistaken, I have Bucky and Jacobs ranked the highest. You can check that again via the running back video I posted on Tuesday. Thank you. Arlen says, I'm in 11th place with Nico Collins, AJ Brown, and Mike Evans in a 12-team league, 1 flex, PPR, RIP. My running backs are Jonathan Taylor, Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren, and Algier Bigsby. Okay. Is there a question attached to that, Arlen? Or is that just is that a statement? I mean, if it's a statement, then I understand how you got to the record, mainly because of the injuries that you had over the course of the season. Sutton or Evans? Yeah, it's got to be Sutton. Patrick Baker sends in a question. Thank you, Patrick. Says, PPR set my lineup, Hill or McBride? In a full PPR, I have McBride ahead of him. Dallas or Pittsburgh's defense? I'd rather have Dallas. Running backs, Hunt, Swift, Bigsby, Roshan, Dowdle. I'd rather have Dowdle as my RB1. And then Bigsby as my RB2 most likely in that scenario. And then it says wide receiver Ridley, Devontae Smith, Justin Jefferson. Yeah, we'll take Ridley and Justin Jefferson as the wide receivers there. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. Ladd or DJ Moore? I have Ladd ahead of him. Would you flex Connor or Jacoby Myers in a half PPR? In a half PPR, I think I'm... Half PPR is tough. I think I'd still play Connor there, though. TF sends in a question, says bench 1 in a full PPR. Christian McCaffrey, Evans, Bucky, T. Higgins, K9, or Drake. Evans takes the bench. Thank you. Will Volmar sends in a question, says start 7 out of Josh Allen as my quarterback. Gibbs, TJ, JT, Swift, Cup, Okay, I mean, I think it's very much so a matter of waiting until we figure out what the status of Purdy is in this situation, Will. Because otherwise, Gibbs and JT are your starting running backs. Josh Allen's your quarterback. Cup and Sutton are your wide receivers. And it's just purely going to be a matter of, is Purdy active? If he is, then Jennings is your flex. If not, then you have to pivot to BTJ. If Trevor Lawrence is not active, then you have to pivot from BTJ to Myers on Friday. Or JSN, actually. Sorry. Greek sends in a question. Thank you. It says PPR. Need a win out of... Okay, very well. Do I trade Henry for Gibbs and Jaden Reed? Jeez. Considering you'd be avoiding the bye week, yes, you do. In order to avoid the bye week, I think it is a great idea to make that trade, Greek. Thank you. Toe sends in a question, says, half PPR, drop Quentin Johnston for Braylon Allen. Yeah, if you, again, aren't ever going to use Quentin Johnston for the remainder of the season, and this is an open roster spot, then sure, let's make the move. John S. says, trade Garrett Wilson and Pollard for St. Brown in a non-PPR W. I mean, I don't know what kind of value St. Brown has in a non-PPR. I don't play in any standard leagues like that, so I couldn't even feasibly understand how many points per game he averages in comparison to the alternatives. So I just don't know what his value really is. I couldn't make a comment on the matter. Let's see here. Edison says, Jacobs, Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, Bucky, Pacheco, bench 1. Yeah, out of all those options, Pacheco is sitting on my bench comfortably. He'll stay there for another week. Thank you. Luis Figueroa says, start Nick Westbrook, Ikine, or Jaden Reed this week. I'd rather play Jaden Reed. Chris Cruz says, pick 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf. I would rather play Tyreek Hill. Kraft, Kincaid, or Schoonmaker. I'd rather play Schoonmaker out of the group. Starting London. Yep, cool. Sounds good. Anonymous says, Javante or Gus. I'd rather have Gus. Sounds good to me. Edison, we took care of again. Maurice Brown sends in a question, says, Noah Gray or Evan Ingram this week. In a PPR, as long as Trevor Lawrence is active, I'm playing Evan Ingram. In the event in which he is not active, at that point, I could justify it, but I think I'm still going to play Evan Ingram. But yeah, Evan Ingram is my suggestion there. Prohibit sends in a question. Thank you, Prohibit. Says Connor, Shakir, Myers, JMO, pick 2 in a full PPR. In a full PPR, it's Myers and Shakir. Thank you. Mind Yours says, drop Ingram for Braylon with McBride at tight end. Yeah, that works. Again, if you're never going to use McBride because if you're never going to use Evan Ingram because McBride is your starter rest of the season, then I don't mind the overall swap. Will Vormer says second part defense, Green Bay, Dallas, or Texans. I'd rather as for this week, I'd prefer to play Dallas's defense. Thank you. JH says, hey Andrew, Connor, Tyreek, or Jennings in a half PPR pick one. I'm playing Tyreek Hill there. Start Tyreek Hill or Chuba Hubbard in the flex. Depends on scoring format. If it's a full PPR, it'd be Tyreek. Human Ziggy says, sit Tyreek Hill for Tillman or Thielen. Nope, absolutely not. Donald Smith says, pick 2, Keenan Allen, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill. Again, earlier today, I had it ranked. I'll go with Neighbors and Tyreek there. Ridley, Neighbors, Keenan Allen, need 2. As of right now, depends on format. If it's a full PPR, I could justify going Keenan Allen and Neighbors. Otherwise, if it's a half, I'd probably just go Ridley and Neighbors. Jonnu Smith tomorrow and Noah Brown against the Titans in a full PPR. I'd rather play Jonnu Smith tomorrow. Thank you. Alrighty. So I think that's where I'm going to call it. Again, got to go finish the rankings for tomorrow morning. I'll be back tomorrow starting at 7 a.m. PST. I do appreciate y'all coming through. For those of you who clicked the like button, for those of you who joined us, whether you did send in a regular question or a super chat, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Again, I'll be back tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. PST. We'll have rankings on screen ready to go, all that kind of jazz. We'll live stream for 2 hours prior to, 2.5 hours prior to the Detroit Lions taking on the Chicago Bears. For those of you who are not able to make it to the live stream, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you have a great day tomorrow in regards to whatever you end up doing, whether it is a Thanksgiving dinner or whether it's just, chilling and watching football. Hope you have a great one. Outside of that, that's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and cue the music. I appreciate y'all coming through. And until tomorrow morning, which I'll probably see you guys. If not, have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your night. Thank you, everybody, and I'll see you. Peace. Okay, so we had people send in some questions here. Buzzer beaters. The camera I've already turned off. The camera's already legitimately been unplugged, so I'm not even going to come back to the camera. Rexton says, quick question, bro. All right, where is it, Rexton? Says, Andrew, full PPR. Would you flex McBride over BTJ this week with Lawrence coming back and no Gabe? It's not even that just no Gabe Davis. It's also no Christian Kirk, which is obviously very valuable. Also, Elliott. Yeah, look, as of right now, in the event, let's see here. Do I play McBride or if Trevor Lawrence is back, I would play BTJ there. And then your next question was also Elliott a kicker or either Bass, Romo, McMahon. No, I'd rather pick up Bass. Thank you. And then Rogo with the final question says, happy Thanksgiving, full roster with Seibert on the IR. I can't pick up. Drop who? Okay. Let's see here. You have Baker, Debo, Bo Nix. You have Sutton. You have Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper, Higgins. If I'm dropping somebody, I'm dropping your defense. That's what I'm doing. Otherwise, it's Amari Cooper. That's the order in which you go about it. You either drop a defense, Rogo, you drop Amari Cooper, or you drop your second quarterback. Thank you. Have a great rest of your night, guys. Peace.